Okay, perfect. So thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to participate. And I would like to touch. I do not have any slides. I will keep my remarks to less than 10 minutes, but I would like to touch on a couple of points that Dr. Larino just raised. So the first one is access and affordability. We're a small company. Every dollar we spent over the last 4 years is R&D, and we work on products that we want to see used. We're committed to making the drug available and affordable to our patients, whether they are in high or middle income countries. But we are a commercial entity, as Emily pointed out, and it is important for us, for our investors, and for the sustainability of the system that there is some profit. We are a for-profit entity. So let me turn back to a little bit on a little bit of our history, and then maybe you'll understand some of the things that we heard from Emily. Entasis was founded in 2015 as a spin-out from one of the many big pharmas who exited the antibacterial space, AstraZeneca. And I was heading up the research and development group for infectious disease at AstraZeneca up to 2015. We had 300 scientists working on discovery and development of new antibiotics, including treatments for STIs. And at the point where Entasis was founded, we raised funding as a small biotech does, and we managed to salvage 15 scientists of the more than 300 across the globe, and move the pipeline forward. It is actually very challenging to raise money and to fund for-profit research in antibiotics in general. The fact that the majority of infections are treated very successfully and have been so for decades by broad-spectrum generic antibiotics is a challenge because you're left with very few patients, very few. We're still talking about hundreds of thousands, but not millions, who need to be treated with the new drugs. There is a dogma in antibiotics which requires treatment to be, it's not much of a dogma, it's a necessity, treatment to be empiric, even in STIs. We often treat without knowing what pathogen infects the patient, let alone whether the pathogen is going to be sensitive or resistant to the antibiotic that we choose. We're taking a different approach. At Entasis, we focused on treating patients for whom those broad-spectrum drugs don't work, and that includes STI patients. So liflotacin was developed specifically to target drug-resistant infections. As Emily pointed out, it works against every pathogen that has been isolated to date with a very low concentration, and we developed those products in a very targeted way. And so liflotacin is a point in case. The trial that Emily described for Neisseria is the only registration trial that we are running for the liflotacin. We're not going to develop it for skin infection, for sore throat. We're not going to develop it for UTIs. It's a drug that we're developing specifically for gonorrhea. Now that comes with challenges. When investors invest in R&D, they of course hope for a return, and the return is the commercial sales. Commercial sales is a simple equation. Those of you who are scientists don't laugh, but it's actually price times volume. So if the volume is smaller, the price has got to be higher. And that's the challenge that a number of our peers who actually have products on the market have faced. We do not have marketed products yet, but one of our peers, Academies, went bankrupt last year, having successfully developed their product through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and got approval by the FDA. And less than a year later, they ran out of cash. They ran out of money. They went bankrupt. The product that had cost upwards of $180 million to discover and develop was sold for, the real number is $4.6 million to a generic manufacturer. So if you were an Academies investor and you invested $200 million at the beginning, and what you got at the end was maybe $4.6 million, you probably are unlikely to invest in another new antibiotic program. That I'm describing to you for antibiotics in general is even more acute for STIs, and that's because two things. First is, for the most part, these are not life-threatening infections. You have time to be wrong. You can try one antibiotic first. If it doesn't work, patients will come back. and you will treat them with the next line of antibiotic. Many of the other infections that we're dealing with we don't have that luxury. The second issue is the way resistance develops. STIs are communicable diseases. Resistance can be very low for a long time and then very quickly grows, because every time you treat a patient with their own drug, they go out and spread the resistant infection. So it's a natural selection process that our drug discovery process has not quite caught up with. It still takes a decade plus to take a drug from discovery to the market, and we don't have a decade when it comes to STI. So we need to start inventing new drugs before resistance starts emerging and starts being a problem. So that's what we did at AstraZeneca. The product that Emily pointed out, I joined AstraZeneca in 2010. The product had been in works for 4 years already, and only now we started phase 3. So it's already been 13 years from the beginning, and it's going to take a couple more before we finally get this product, if we're successful, approved. So that's the challenge that we will face on the market. When we get the product to the market, will there be a market for it? Resistance rates in the US and Europe remain low. Will this product be used in sufficient volume to make it a commercially viable product to keep on the market for a reasonable price? So that's one challenge. The second challenge is guidelines and the inclusion of new products in guidelines. One would hope that these will be updated as new products become available. This is really important because in STI treatment, guidelines are essential, and unless new products are included in those guidelines, they will not get any use. So those two things to bear in mind is price versus volume will be an important consideration, and the second one will be inclusion in the guidelines. Now, if you think this is not very important because it's a commercial perspective, let me tell you that this product could have been on the market much sooner. It could have been on the market today. It could have been available for you to use with your patients today, had there been profit driving it. We had, at the point when we came out of AstraZeneca in 2015, the product was already in phase 2. Dr. Deal and her team at NIAID were starting that study, and it took all that time to complete, to invest in manufacturing and controls, to gear up with GARP, to strike the partnership and start the phase 3. If we were an oncology company or a rare disease company, this product would be on the market and available for you to use today. So the market forces are an important consideration if you want to ensure sustainability of the R&D engine, and that is important because we know that we will need new drugs for STIs. We will always need new drugs. There will always be resistance, and it's important to continue working on those. So happy to take questions now or maybe after the panel.
Thank you very much. If you can stay with us, it might be fun to have Dr. Barr and Dr. Corti, and then we'll do the panel. Thank you.